Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk to you about The Mandalorian and Grogu, the latest entry in the Star Wars film franchise. So let's get into it. As the film starts, the titular Mandalorian and Grogu are working for the New Republic to hunt down Imperial warlords. After a successful mission, the Mandalorian, aka Mando, is tasked by New Republic Commander Ward to find the mysterious warlord coin. The New Republic is set to receive intel on the whereabouts of this warlord from the Hutt twins, siblings and successors to the deceased crime lord Jabba the Hutt, but only in exchange for rescuing Jabba's son and their nephew, Rada the Hutt, from a criminal syndicate run by Lord Janu. Mando is given a new Razor Crest as a prepayment and reluctantly accepts the assignment, soon finding Rada on the planet Shikari, where he serves as a gladiator in a fighting pit run by Janu. Rada, desperate to step out of his father's shadow, enjoys his status as a fan-favorite fighter and refuses to be rescued by Mando, declaring that his next fight will be the final one he needs to engage in order to repay his debt to Janu and be set free, saying that he doesn't need to be rescued. He explains that he likes the adulation of the crowd and it makes him feel like his own man separate from his father. So Mando tracks down Janu to petition for Rada's freedom, but Janu refuses, revealing that he intends for Rada's last fight to bring about his death. So Mando returns to Rada with this new information, but Rada refuses to believe him and instead calls security on Mando. Mando is then subdued and finds himself tossed into the pit against Rada, whom he soon defeats but refuses to kill, surrendering instead. Janu then floods the arena with monsters, prompting Mando and Rada to work together to defeat them. Rada eventually breaks the security system at the arena, setting he, Mando, and the surviving monsters free, at which point they start attacking targets in the city. It's at this point that Rada decides that he doesn't want to go with Mando back to the Hutt homeworld because he says that his aunt and uncle also want him dead as he's the successor to his father, and they don't want to end up having to give up power. But Mando and Grogu pursue and capture Rada with the help of Zeb from Star Wars Rebels. Aboard the Razor Crest, Rada informs Mando that Janu and Cole are the same person, so Mando chooses to trust him and attacks Janu's compound alongside Zeb, capturing Janu. They bring him back to Ward, who takes him in for questioning, but warns that the Hutts won't take kindly to what Mando did by not returning Rada to them. Mando returns to his home with Grogu and enlists a band of Anzellans, if I'm saying that right, to modify the Razor Crest and enlists a gunrunner to help Rada go into hiding. At night, Mando is attacked and captured by a bounty hunter who delivers them to the twins, as Grogu and the Anzellans follow in an Anzellan ship. It's then revealed that the twins have intercepted Rada, intending to slowly torture him for hundreds of years. To punish Mando for breaking the contract, they make him fight a dragon snake. Mando escapes, though, with the help of Grogu and the Anzellans, but is mortally poisoned in the process. Unable to fit aboard the small Anzellan ship, Mando stays behind on Nal Hutta, sacrificing himself to cover Grogu and the Anzellans as they escape. However, Grogu doesn't escape. He chooses to stay behind, tending to the dying Mando, eventually saving his life using an antidote he receives from a friendly fisherman that he discovers in the swamps. A recovered Mando chooses to go after the twins instead of fleeing Nal Hutta, reasoning that the twins won't ever stop chasing he and Grogu. So he and Grogu break into the twins' palace and battle their way through the twins' droid security force before being interrupted by the bounty hunter. Mandy duels the bounty hunter while Grogu frees Rada, who engages the twins in a physical fight, eventually dropping himself, them, and the bounty hunter into the dragon snake pit. But Grogu saves Rada with the Force, lifting him out, while the bounty hunter escapes through a tunnel, leaving the twins to be eaten alive by the dragon snake. The Anzellans return, bringing Ward and a New Republic squadron with them to destroy the twins' private droid army. Afterwards, Ward reveals that Janu and the twins were working together. Rada chooses to stay and work with the New Republic, while Mando and Grogu leave in the Razor Crest, which Mando is now going to teach Grogu how to fly. And that's where the movie ended. So that's a basic breakdown of the plot. There are other nuances and other story beats that occur as well, but that's the basic story. And, I liked this movie. I didn't think it was anything fantastic. I didn't think it was anything special. I think it was about a 3 out of 5, but I didn't find anything wrong with it, except for maybe the sequence during which Mando is down for the count and Grogu is trying to get him back to health, because I think it went on a little too long. It was very cute and, a fine story beat to have been in the film, but it went on too long. I think it slowed the movie down too much because the rest of it was action, action, action. And it's fine to have a little slowdown, but they spent too much time on it. That's really the only thing I could complain about in terms of the story. I wasn't in love with the voice casting choice for Rod of the Hutt. I didn't feel like the voice fit a Hutt character. It was like a normal voice. He sounded human. Also, he spoke English, which, was obviously done because they didn't want the audience to have to read subtitles for a large part of the film. But I don't know. I think that takes away from the character somehow. But anyway, those things aside, I didn't see anything wrong with the movie. I can't sit here and tell you, as I said, that it's a 5 out of 5 and that it was, a spectacular, powerful story. It wasn't. But it was fun and entertaining and as good as like a middle of the road adventure movie. And I realize that that's not high praise and that for a Star Wars film, that's not exactly a good thing. But I mean, people are outright trashing this movie, saying that it's garbage and that Star Wars is dead because of this movie, or or that this movie confirms that Star Wars is dead because it's so bad. That's ridiculous. It's a fun movie. There's a lot of fantastic action. There's a lot of great visuals. The moments with Grogu are funny and cute and enjoyable, though, as I said, that one part goes on too long. The Anzellans add to that element, and a lot of that stuff was done with practical effects, so it's actual puppets and actual puppetry. So, I really appreciated that because that has kind of become a lost art. And to have them, have those characters in the film as physical objects, I thought was really cool. Of course, they didn't do the same thing with the 3 Hutt characters, and that's okay, except I should also point out, I guess, that one other thing I kind of didn't love was the fight between the 3 of them, because it was these 3 slugs rolling around, and it was really kind of gross. But anyway, I'm kind of joking there. Pedro Pascal, who was on set for the shoot and who was in the suit part of the time, which we know because you can see his face part of the time, did a really good job of voicing the character, as he always does, to the point where it really seems like he's on set working with the other actors on the scenes. Like he's trading dialogue with the other actors, which he isn't, at least not when the filming is happening. Whether he has someone else reading the other characters' parts when he's in the studio, I don't know, but it's not one performer on film feeding off another performer on film. It's broken up. It's a performer on film performing with someone standing in for him on set, and it might be him performing with someone else whose voice we don't hear in the movie and whom we don't see, but he's not in the moment that we see on film. And that being true, I think he did a really great job because it feels like he is. So how he does that, I don't know. It's not easy to do, which is why a lot of dubbed films, at least in the old days, sounded terrible because actors hadn't worked out how to make it seem like they're in the moment. Nowadays, you get better performances somehow for dubbed films. But yeah, I thought he did a great job. So I liked the movie. I thought Sigourney Weaver was good. She's not in it very much, but I enjoyed her performance. Some people say her performance was wooden. I don't think so. I think she just plays a very grounded character, and I think she does a great job. People ragged on the movie because they said it was just an extended episode of the show, and that's true, but so what? It's a fun movie. Just because it's on the big screen doesn't mean you can justify being disappointed by the fact that it isn't some monumental epic production and that it isn't any more powerful than the TV show. Who cares? It's a fun time. And it's, the Star Wars universe on the big screen. And it looks fantastic. So I would say don't listen to them and go see it, because it will certainly be true that Star Wars will have a harder time existing as a film franchise in the future if this movie doesn't do well. And so far, it's not breaking any records. So, I would say go see it. And if you're a Star Wars fan, you will enjoy it, as long as you don't go in expecting it to be some monumental work of fantasticness. It's a 3 out of 5. It's mediocre, but that's okay. Not everything has to be Best Picture. So that's really it. I'm going to get out of here, but I'll be back with another video soon. Until I return, may the Force be with you.